That is why most times when students call me, I find it annoying. I don't know why. I don't like phone calls. I don't. Even my mom, my dad will always quarrel with them over phone call. They will call me, it will finish ringing. I don't even know because my phone is on silent. But one thing I appreciate the most is email. If you send me email, I reply you. It's very hard for you to send me email and it will stay in my inbox for 10, 20 minutes, unless I'm sleeping. Because I'm in front of my system. Sometimes if I throw my phone away on the bed, I'll not look at it again until 12 a.m., 1 a.m. And then I'll come and see students giving me missed calls. Thank God for Telegram. I've received a lot of complaints on Telegram. And then somebody will send you email, he will send you Telegram and still call you. Before you even get the time to even reply, I had a case of one student. I was trying to reply him, and then he sent WhatsApp. I know he sent WhatsApp, he sent Telegram, he sends email. I was trying to reply the email, and then he called. At least give 2 minutes at least. I believe most of you that send email to me, I reply on time. That is my belief. I try my best to see that I reply. Unless if you send me a stupid email, I won't reply you. If your email doesn't make sense to me, or I don't reply. Because some emails, some people, the way they send emails, EFC is supposed to follow them, do chit chat a bit. Someone sent me an email. I'm trying to log in and it's refused. That was it. And as far as the student is concerned, he has fulfilled all righteousness. Who are you? What do you want me to do for you? How can I help you? Give me a bit of narration on what the problem is. What have you tried? Just send me email. I try to log in and it's not working. And then I have to start asking, okay, which course? What have you tried? Just for me to realize that the person has not even filled the form. And then there is another one I had that because I believe he was trying to waste my time, I engaged the person. And we spent like 30 minutes chatting. At the end of it, I asked him, did you fill the form? He said, which form? I said, yeah, you need to fill the form first. But seriously, I don't know. Are we live? If we're live, please send me this thing. Please send me the video link. Oh, I've been online since I didn't even know. People are laughing at me. I don't know. Please, in whatever situation you find yourself and you're trying to send a message, even if it's customer care, please observe these 3 items in your emails or in your message. First, salutation, the contents, closing is very important. I don't know how many of you have seen my reply or have seen my email, but I start with greetings first. And I end with what? Thank you and regards. And then you have the content in the middle. Hello. So that is the least you can do when sending a message. And please don't be too, how do I put it? Don't minimize the message. Okay? Don't minimize the message by saying something like, I'm trying to log in and it's not working. Log in to what? At least my name is so so so. I'm trying to use so 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 platform because we have two platforms. We have the LMS for the content, and then we have this one. This exam is not part of the. Is my own my personal this thing, because I don't want a situation whereby I'll ask you to come and sit down and write exams written, and I don't have the time to even manage that. That is why I decided to use my own personal resources to what? To create that platform so that people can be able to write their exams. So please, when you're sending a message, please don't minimize the message. Explain in detail. What have you tried? What have you been able to do before you reach the end of your message? Okay. Um, last week we started developing a what? Class. What did we do last week? Yeah, we did. We created a database for what? School DB. Okay. And how many tables do we have? Tables. Oh, okay. And how many have we created? Remaining how many? Hmm? So how many do we have left? Okay. Can somebody tell me the remaining tables? What are the names? Online admin. Online, notice the password. This database code. What's the password that I'm supposed to put here? Is it long? Have you gone to check this password? Sorry, here. Yeah. Capital letter G. Okay. Oh. Where is the school Kinikon? Where is the school database? Ah. Somebody please give me the backup on the flash so that I can run it and can move on. Someone please help me and please sit in pairs. Sit in pairs, that way you can help each other. Yes. From where? No, I don't have Telegram on this system. Give me something in Flash. Let me do it sharp, sharp, and move on. Okay. How do you do that? No, I need to dump. I need to run it on your system so that you can move on. Somebody put the file for me here, please. All right. Now, last week we misplaced some of you guys when we started creating foreign keys. Oh, madam, you're looking at your phone now. And okay, if you understand, you explain to you. Okay, oh. Match in heaven. Peer group. All right. Okay, please hurry up. Before I get the flashback, those of us that are in the last batch, please know that I have uploaded you to the platform. Yesterday I sent you guys email and then people started logging immediately. I don't know. I was not able to do it yesterday. I had to wait till today for me to be able to upload your details. And then if you try now, I think it should work, but please don't try logging in until after the lectures. Your exam is going to start on the 7th, go? Second batch. Last batch, not second batch. If it says second batch, then maybe third batch. Last batch. Okay. Now, I don't have secretary. I'm not that rich. I'm not that rich to have a secretary that will be following me around. Um, what is the name of the next table we are supposed to create? Assembly attendance is the name. So how do you do that? Okay, so assembly. Okay. Yes.
When I created um, this student information table,
Yeah.
okay, I did the primary key and foreign key classes and so that.
Yeah.
But when I created this, the numbers were not going to 1, 2, 3 because 24, 7, 8, 9. But yes, 1, 2, 3.
Did you run from my backup?
I created it. I watched the video again.
Okay. Did you delete the previous work you've done? You started from scratch. Huh.
And now it was 7, 8, 9. So that I deleted the information, entered the information, started from 5 something, and the numbers were just.
That I don't know why, really. But usually it's supposed to start from 1. Auto incrementing number for primary keys, if you say auto increment, the first entry is 1, second entry is 2. That is how it's supposed to be. Now, if it's showing you something else, you must have done something else too. Okay?
And then another thing, well, this one deleted that, deleted record, and started again, added another record. It started from that 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Most likely.
Changed it again. No. This one was even the students' information table now. It's out of this.
So like this now.
Exactly like this now.
Instead of you start from 1, it started from 3.
But the first one was from 3, 4, 5. So I deleted it. And I'm creating a new one. Then 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. So most likely, you created the entries and deleted them without realizing, or maybe you did something and then you try to add the record again. Maybe you remove the record and try to add it again. It will continue from the last place it stopped. So if your last ID was 7 and you did it from number 1 to number 7, Instead of it to start from number one, to continue from 8. Do you understand? Okay. So usually how it works is auto incrementing number means even if the previous record has been deleted, it will still continue incrementing. It will not go back and say, since there is no 1, let me put 1. No. Unless if you decide to give another entry that particular ID 1, then it will push it up to that where 1 is supposed to be. Okay?
Is there a way that when you mistakenly delete a table, all right, and then okay, no, like I mistakenly created a table inside that information, but the table ought to be, I mistakenly created a table in a different database, but the table ought to be in a studio, all right, and then is there a way that I can move it from that database just to the.
Is it possible for you to bring another picture from another house and bring it to your house and say, this one is my blood brother?
So it's not possible.
No, I'm just asking you a question too. It's not blood. I said blood brother. So the answer is no, obviously. Okay, so people online are saying they cannot see the text, it's not clear. Let me still add the font size, but this is as big as it gets. Please use 720p or 8 something p to view the video for you to have a clear video of what we are trying to do. Okay, now we have 2 more tables to go. Okay, 2 more tables to go. So please guide me through their fields, the columns in that table. I believe we have what? Assembly attendance. It comes with what? An entry ID. Entry ID, which is a primary key. And then what? Not null auto increment. Student ID. What type is it? Student ID? How about int? Then what? Assembly date. What's the data type for that? Why date time? Then what comes next? Created date. What's the type? Date time. Cool. And then what is the current timestamp? Okay. Now, what comes next? Created by is what? Then what? That's all? Come again? Which one is not null? What about assembly dates? Okay, so now we save. But then before we save, can we add the foreign keys? Can we add the foreign keys? So now, what is the first item? Student. So this table is connected to students. How? So I'll call this assembly underscore student underscore FK, foreign key. Now, which table am I referencing? Students. Student information. Now, which field am I referencing this student information to? Student ID. And what is the primary key of student ID? Entry ID. Now, what happens if the person tries to update? Cascade. What if the person try to delete? Cascade also. Then which other ones do we have? Assembly, staff, underscore FK. Very good. Now, which table are we referencing? Staff information. Where is staff information again? It's not very clear. Is it this one? Okay. Now, which table is that referencing? Which field? Created by. So we add which of the fields? Entry ID. Now, what happens if they try to update? Why are we cascading? What about if we try to delete? Why are we cascading again? Now we are done. What next? Apply. So we apply. It gives us this long code that we don't need to memorize. And then we what? Apply. Yeah, definitely you will get an error. Because you didn't do what I did. You didn't do what I did. Yeah, you didn't do what I did. You did something wrong. I should go back. Okay. Okay. Have you reached the part where I created the table columns? You've reached here, right? You have all this with exactly ID, entry ID, and int and everything. Yes. I should create a table again. I don't understand. That's what I'm doing now. Should I delete and start again? Yes. Okay, we are starting again. Okay, we are starting again. The first thing we said we want to do is to what? Create a table. What's the table for? Good. Now, how do we create a table? We come to table, I click on it and say what? Create what? Table. Now, it will give us this particular form, right? What do we put here? The name of the table. So, oh my bad. A assembly, right? Assembly attendance. Now, after that, what do we do next? We create the columns, right? How do we create the columns? We come here and just click here, right? And then to show us column names, right? Now, what is our first column? Now, I type entry ID. What are the properties of this column? It's a primary key, What is type? Okay, so we are good now. We've understood this part. Okay. Now, what comes after that? Student ID. So we add in student ID. Now, what data type is student ID? Why is it int? That is not the reason. Because we're going to reference it to another value in another table. And the value we're trying to reference it to is an integer. So if you put varchar or you put char or any other data type, it will throw an error to you. Because it will be telling you that this person that you are claiming is the child of this house, and then it talks no be so you did. You see, probably no one can be that enter inside the house. So you make sure that the field you are trying to reference and the field you are working with are of the same type. So here we have what? Int, because it's going to reference student information entry ID. Okay? Are we together? And then we make it what? Not null. Then what comes after that? Assembly Dates. Assembly date. What data type is it? Dates. So just want to store the date of that particular assembly. So we can say dates. Oh, then what comes after that? Created dates. I put created. Created dates. What data type is it? Why the time? Time. And what data type is it null? Is this null? Now, this since it already has a default value, you don't need to worry about not null because it will never be null, provided it has a what? Default value. So we don't need to tell it not null. It automatically knows it's a not null. The created date. So now, what do we put in here? Current underscore time stamp. Oh, then what comes after that? Created by what's data type? Why is it int? We're referencing to staff, and the entry ID of staff is what? Integer. Now, do you understand up to this level? Are you with me up to this level? So let's enter the confusing part. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm using a computer that is not mine, and the this thing is a bit the screen is a bit small, so I have to in fact even myself I'm not seeing it very clearly. I don't know. Madam, can we borrow your system, please? This system is the screen is very, very small. It's very tiny. So, online people, please don't be angry with us. We're going to change to a bigger screen so that we can be able to do what is needed. For online admin, I'm just wait a bit. I want to copy something. Um, my system, it doesn't work. It doesn't. I don't know why it's not running. No workbench. I have my SQL, but workbench is not working on my system. I have done that several times. So I decided to just use another database administration tool. But then you guys will not be able to use that one. So that is why I said let me just be borrowing systems. I have two systems on my in my bag right now, but none of them will serve my purpose. Um, Chrome, StreamYard, DW, 3AEC, 7. have a blind person, you have to give him as much screen as possible, as much light as possible. Um, Online people, can you see my screen? Online people, can you see my screen, please? This thing is a bit faulty. Okay, so I think you should start seeing me now. Okay, are we together now? Are we together now? Okay, now let's move on. I believe you must have reached up to this level. Oh? We said this is what? This cannot be null. Then this two cannot be null, practically. This can be null if we want to leave. We can leave it like this, or we can make it not null. Okay. Now, for us to add foreign key, we need to know the relationship between the data and the two tables. Now, this particular student is the ID of whom? Of which table? This is the ID of which table? Student table. What about created by? Now, since we know that, we can come to what? Foreign key. And then we say what? We say student underscore, sorry, assembly underscore student. I put assembly. Underscore what? Underscore FK. What is FK? Good. Now we're referencing this table. Student what? Information. Now which field? Okay, sorry. That was my bad. Student what? Information. Now, which field is it referencing? Mm-hmm. Entry ID. Now, what happens if the person tries to update? You should cascade. What if the person tries to delete? Cascade also. Now, the next one is what? Assembly. Which table is it referencing? Is okay. Which field? Uh-huh. Entry ID. So now we are done with this. What happens? What happens if we try to update? Now we can click on what? Apply. So now this is the code that you're supposed to memorize. This code I see is what you're supposed to know, but there is no time because this is a practically crash course. So we need to skip all of this, okay? And then we can say what? Apply. Now, if you click on apply and it gives you error, it means what? You did something wrong. Did you do something wrong? There, that is it. Now, which table comes after that? And what is what fields do we have? We have what? Entry ID. Attendance dates. What is the type? What's the type for this one? Then what? Created by who? Created by staff. So it's an int. It's an int. Okay. So this is not null. This comes with what? Cont timestamp. Okay. And then this table has how many foreign keys? How many foreign keys does this table have? Look at the table. How many foreign keys do we put here? Which one and which one? Foreign key. We have one foreign key which is created by. It's the only foreign key we have here. Yes. Now we add a foreign key on what? Created by. So we say what? Attendance date underscore staff underscore F key. Why did I add the date? Because, okay, sorry, I don't need to add the date. I don't need to add the date. Since I already have assembly, the other one was assembly, this one is attendance. Date. So we are referencing which table? Staff. On which field? On created by. And then we want this. On cascade, it should update. Update. The cascade also. Now, we create this table. Now, how do we insert records into our tables? How do we insert record into our tables? This Excel logo. Then we do what? Now, for this particular attendance date, I don't want to add the record myself. I don't want to add the record myself. I want a trigger to add the record. And which trigger am I trying to get the record from? There's only one table that has attendance date in it. And I want that table to be able to add record into this particular table each time we add attendance. Now, I'm just trying to show you the general application of trigger, but it has more applications. You can apply it in many places, in many situations, okay? Okay, now, since we want to add trigger to attendance assembly, and the table we are trying to add it is attendance dates. Sorry, let me rename this table. Attendance date. So I close this, I close this. I close everything. Close all. Okay. Please, guys, pay attention to my screen. I want each time I add a record into this assembly, it should add it to attendance. Each time I add record to assembly, it should automatically add it to where? Attendance. How do I do that? I use something called trigger. Okay? I use something called what? Trigger. Now, where can I find trigger? I can find trigger when I click on this and then I click on this spanner. Now, if you look down here, you will see what? After foreign key. Now, when I click on trigger, I can see all of this. What are they? The point at which you want the trigger to happen. The point at which you want the trigger to what? To get triggered. Okay? Is it before you insert a record that you want the trigger to happen? Is it after? Is it before updates? Is it after updates? Is it before delete? You want to take a backup of the record. Is it before delete or after delete that you want to take the backup? So it depends on what your use case is. That is when you apply. Now, for this one, we want anytime it adds a record, it should add a record to where? To attendance dates. So now that will be after, because it has to first of all add into our what? Into assembly before we can be able to add into where? Attendance date. So now we come for after, and then can you see a plus sign here? So you click on this. Now it will give you some part of the code. Some what? Part of the code. Sorry. Assembly. Okay, yeah, no problem. Now, we want to say something like, between begin and end, that is where you add your own code. Now, I'm going to do a bit of insert. So I say insert into attendance dates. And then I specify the columns I want to insert the record into. So I can click on this just so that I can see the columns by the side here. Okay? So now I have what? Attendance date and created by. So I will say what? Attendance dates, comma, created by, and then I'll say what? Values. And then I open and close my bracket, and then I terminate here. Now, in between these brackets, I will add the fields that I want to add there. So the first one is assembly date. Assembly what? Date. The second one is created by. Now I'm done with my trigger. If we want, we can. If you want, you can do some mathematical calculations. If you can do a lot of things with the trigger. That is what I want you to know. It can be before or after. So now we click on what? Yeah. Sorry, it's supposed to be new dots. New dots. I'll explain. New dots. It's not.
What's the difference between start after insert and after update?
After insert and after update. What's the difference?
Like you want it to be when you are inserting already, it should be entering. When you are finished inserting, then you are updating that.
So let's assume. Have you ever written in your book when you make a mistake and then you cancel? And then you write something. Let's assume you've occupied everywhere, you filled everything, then you realize a mistake, and then you cancel. Then you write on top of it. That is what? That's an update. When you are writing, you are what? You are inserting the entries, you are inserting the record onto the paper. I don't know if you understand. So if we say before insert, after insert, what we're trying to tell it, after you've written, then do. Immediately after you've written data into the database, then do this for me. For update, it means when I change any record, then you do this. Do you understand? So that's the difference between those two. Okay? All right, let's move on. Now, let's see if these fields have data in them. No record, right? Nothing. Are we together? Nothing. How about this one? Nothing also, right? How about students? Oh, no, this student class. How about students? There is, right? Now, what happens if we try to add a student's attendance? So entry ID by default is automatic. So we ignore that. Which student are we trying to mark the attendance for? How many students do we have? 4. Which one are we marking the attendance for? 2. So let's say 2 was the first person that arrived at the assembly ground. What is the date? So we can say something like 10, 12, 2024. Who created the record? Is a member of staff. Now, that staff, what is his ID?
1.
So that will be me. So if we come back here and say 1, have we satisfied all righteousness? Have we satisfied all righteousness? Because entry ID automatically will add the record. Created date automatically will add the record. So you can click on what? Apply. Now, if you look at my query, it says what? Student ID, assembly date, and what? Created by. While ignoring the remaining 2. Yes.
That's entry ID too, right? When
Yes.
it was created by 3, not 1.
You are confusing yourself. Who created the student and who is creating this particular record are 2 different things. Do you understand? So we know that the person that is supposed to create this record is a staff. And the person that is supposed to create a student is also a staff. So it doesn't matter which staff created the student. And okay, let me give you a simple example. You've been to secondary school. Abi? I'm explaining now, he's not listening. You've been to secondary school before, right? Did you have only one teacher in the whole school? The same teacher that did registration for you is the same teacher that did CA exams and invitation during your WAEC, and he's the principal, and he's the house master. You won't kill the person. So you have different staff. And one of those staff is responsible for what? Admission. Another one is responsible for what? Registration. Another one is what? Form master. Another one is what? Senior boarding house master. And so on and so forth. I don't know if you understand. So the one that added the record might be totally different from another one that is responsible for attendance in the assembly ground. For this particular secondary school, it's just me and Madam President over there that are the teachers in the secondary school. Okay, now we are trying to add a record of a student that attended a class. Attended the assembly. Now we've added the student, we've added the date, and we've added the person that is adding this particular entry, this particular record. It's a new record now, brand. Now, please pay attention to this table. It doesn't have anything inside, right? Nothing. Can you see? Nothing, right? Now, if we should apply this, if everything should go fine, nope, it doesn't. So it's telling me that it does not recognize this particular date format. So let's try another format. 2024, 03, 10. Apply. Now I've changed the format and it worked, right? It has added this record for us into our what? Our table. As you can see, it has given it what? An entry ID and what? Created date. Now, apart from that, it did something else for us, which is what? Added a record into this particular table because of the trigger. So if you check here now and you check, oh, I didn't add, then something went wrong. Give me a moment. Let me check this. That was my fault, really. I did not apply this. So now this have no record. Let's truncate. Now, if you want to clear everything inside the table and reset the entry IDs to 1, 2, 3, 4, you can do something called truncate. How do you do that? You just type the word truncate and then you put the table name. It will wipe the table more clean. Okay? So how do you do that? You just say something like not trumpo, truncate, and then we truncate this particular table so that our entry ID will be 1. And then we can click on this. It shows you that there is entry, but there is nothing in there. Now it's empty. Now, we say the student ID is number 2, right? And the date is what? 2024, 03, 12, or thereabouts. And the ID is what? 1. So now, if we insert error, why? Unknown column what? In what? So this table is this error is coming from the trigger. Sorry, give me a moment. Let me check what is going on inside that trigger. Attendance dates. I should have attendance date. Oh. Sorry, a moment. Copy. It doesn't need me to specify the database because I'm already referencing the database here. No, I don't think so. Unless if I okay, sorry. Apply. No. Non-column attendance. Sorry, give me a moment, please. Let me figure this. I think it's my own fault. Control Z. Look at the spelling. Look at the spelling. At 10, no N. It will accept, but then when you try to do something, it will tell you, I don't know. So it should be what? Attendance dates. Apply. Now we try to add our record into the database by clicking on what? Apply. And then we say apply. Now it says successful, right? Now, if you check on this, even though we did not write start statement for it, because we say anytime it adds, after it adds the record, you add this record for us. If you run this, you will get this. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. Now, like I said, the application for trigger is massive. When somebody is trying to change any record, store the old record using your trigger. You don't need to write much code. You just need to be able to store the previous record and allow the person to do whatever he wants to do. When things backfire and there is need for investigation or there is need for checking the log, you can easily go through and figure out what happened when was the data changed, and so on and so forth. Okay? If you want to clear everything, like factory reset a table. The reason why I use factory reset is because he has reset his phone multiple times. Abi? So if you want to reset a table, you want to clean everything, you want to make it from start. So you use truncate. This is it now. This is it now, Abi? Yeah, you didn't do it well now. Okay. Let's go to the next item, which is functions. Why not? Go back to the trigger. Let me see. Go back to the trigger. There's nothing there to reply now. Go back to the trigger. Let me see what you did. Attendance dates. Where the ED? Guys, if you type something, type it complete. Don't be like me when you grow up. If there is a mistake, it will not work. It will accept, but it will not work. And if I should look at it now, I'll tell you. Because right now you really added it here already. Before you get the trigger, it's not work. It's okay, guys. What he's trying to do is he already has the record in the database. Then he created the trigger, and then he's telling me that it's not there. Let me give you a case scenario of what you just did. You take a gun, you want to shoot a bird, and then you shout, "Hey!" The bird fly away, and then shoot, and then you say, "Didn't get the bird." How will it work? It does not work like that, obviously. So please, your trigger should only trigger when you enter a record, or when you update a record, or when you delete a record, or when you do something else. Is the trigger running now? Can I see what the problem is? And you're not supposed to add the trigger into the one that still have the attendance. because that one will fit the other one. These are the two tables, and these are two tables. Look at my screen. These are the two tables, right? This table is feeding data into what? This other table. So the one that is going to have the trigger is the one at the top. The one that is going to feed the other one the data is the one that will own the trigger. So the trigger will be inside this one at the top here. Okay? You're putting your own trigger inside this one. It will not work. You are calling Chigozi, and his name is Chibuzo. And you're calling which one?
Yes. So which one do you write that supposed to automatically come up at attendance?
That's the trigger now.
Yes, that's which input is this attendance, right?
No, but it's under here now. When we're creating the table, it's under here. See it here now, trigger.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But there's a page that we wrote, the student code as 2.
This is it here now. This is it here. When this one? Come again? Yes, this is it. This is the general query of inserting record into a table. When you look, let me give you look at my screen, okay? Look at my screen. Now I want to add 2 attended assembly on what? On when? 2024 03 24, right? The person that added the record is who? 1, right? This under separate attendance for this particular assembly for this particular student. Okay. Now I want to add it in. Now, if you look at because right now I only added the numbers. So when I click on apply, it's related to the query here. This is the query. Okay, and what's the query? Insert into school DB assembly attendance, and then these are the fields I want to add the record into. Can you see? Can you see my screen? And then these are the records. So now when I send this record to the database, it will add it to my database, and then it will add it to the other table because we are using trigger to what? To add it on that table. It's exactly the same thing as this. It's an insert statement. Here. Your confusion.
I know they are starting into this attendance data. All these new assembly, where are they coming from?
Okay. These 2 items, these first 2 items, can you see these 2? 1, 2. Now let me open this back. Can you see this attendance date? This attendance date and this created by are coming from here. If you look at this and then look down here, you see them. Can you see them? Each table you click, it will show you the fields of that table. Can you see this? Can you see it's changing? So each table you select, it will show you the properties of that table. Now, we want to insert record into where? Attendance date. So we select attendance date, and then we look at which fields we want to add the record into. We want to add the record into this and this. So we add them here. Can you see that? Now, the value we are trying to add is coming from within this particular table, which is what? New assembly, assembly date, which is this, and what? Created by, which is this. Mind you, we are still working inside this particular table, which is this right here. Yes. Mm-hmm. Congrats. Do you understand do you understand it now?
So you know that first one that I did that you said This one now. I fixed this one. This thing. The mistake here. Type of them now. To create a new one, two. Just like your own. Created it empty. Created by. So this will happen.
At the table, you've deleted it.
Which one?
Read it. Good. In fact, it's very good. Let me just give me a moment. Give me a moment. All right, guys, please pay attention to my screen. Please, please, please pay attention to my screen. Just a moment. Just a moment. Everybody, please. Please, everybody, please pay attention to my screen. Now, this is an error, right? How do you read the error? Yes. When you run your code, it will give you an error, and it will explain what the error is. Now, if you don't know how to read the error, you spend countless nights trying to figure it out without realizing it's something simple. Now, please look at my screen and tell me what does the error say? That is not what it's saying. Read the error. Attendance dates doesn't exist, but attendance dates exist. So even small change in name, it will tell you it does not exist. Okay? So now all I need to do is what? Go back to my trigger and change this to what? Attendance date. And move the S and apply. So now I can click on what? Apply. And then if I check here, I'll have 2 records. It's not case sensitive. What don't you understand? Cannot add. So what it's trying to tell you is that you're trying to add a record that doesn't exist. Check your record. The number you're trying to put does not exist in the parent table. Okay?
cannot add a child when you have parents.
Yes, I don't think I record it.
That's how it works.
I have parents, I have child.
Sir,
Now, what would the error does sometimes errors?
And you make it say it that way. When you do, let me know how you did it.
No problem. Because the reference from the parent table and the record the time and it's new. Because there is also code. If you are committing that is code. But since I can't now, we are using it. So I think this number is coming in. That is this table.
So here now, I'm supposed to go to assignments, to decide the options that I just
The same is for us. The problem is you are trying to you have one that doesn't exist. That is the kind of thing. You don't have one. Unless you check this, you take the class. All of this is not for you. So if you don't explain these things,
This means you are telling to add, because you're trying to add a new record, that you use that new to tell it that you should add to the new record you're trying to add. Okay? This new record that you're adding into this table, add part of it to the right table. Does that make sense? Okay. Can we move to functions? Can we move to functions? Now, in functions, I'm going to do 1. And then you guys are going to do 3 functions. Okay? I'll do a function that will add 2 numbers and give me out a result. Guys, you can do the discussion after. Guys, pay attention. I'm going to create a function that will add what? 2 numbers and bring out what? Results. Are we together? Are we together? Now, you will do the one that will subtract, divide, multiply, and which one? Right now, I'm going to create a function in this database that can add 2 numbers. Okay, so I have number 1 and number 2. And then I will add them together inside a function. Now, you will do divide, multiply, and subtract. Are we together?
Yes.
Can we start?
Yes.
All right. Now, if we want to add a function, the benefit of a function is, say for instance, you have a process you want, let's assume you have a process you want MySQL to execute before doing something for you. You can create a function that does it, and then you pass that to your insert statement, or update statement, or delete statement, or whatever you want to add it to. But for now, what I'm interested in is, I'm interested in having a function that adds 2 numbers. How do I do that? You come to where? Functions. Can you see functions here? Can you see functions? You see functions here, right click on it, and you say what? Create function. Now, what is the name of the function? Addition. Now, what are my inputs? 2 numbers. So I can say num1. What is the type of num1? Let's say it's int. And then num2. What is the value of num2? What's the type of num2? We say int. And then we can have num3. Num3 will store the value of num1 and num2. How do we do that? We under begin here. Can you see begin? Under begin, we say what? Declare num3. The type is what? Int. Okay? Then we can say num3 is equal to num1 plus num2. Now, sorry, my bad. Num3, sorry, my bad. Insert, no, wait. Wait. Okay. We can select num1 plus num2 into num3, and then we return num3. Let's pray it works. It doesn't. Why? So it's not. It has nothing to do with the code itself. It has everything to do with non-deterministic. So there is something that needs to be set for this to work. Let me see real quick. I usually use this to just workbench. So just please copy this message. Just type workbench and then deterministic no SQL. The first option that comes out, scroll down a bit. Okay, scroll down a bit and then copy this line of code. Can you see this line of code? This one here. Copy it and then paste it somewhere. Paste it here and then execute. Now it says kiniko, then we can be able to add our function. Can you see that? It's a setting. By default, my SQL set that value to 0. So if you don't change it, you'll not be able to create something called functions. No, take it like this. My SQL by default, it sets that value to 0. So now you need to change that value to what? To 1 for you to be able to create functions. Okay, this is the code. Set space global log underscore bin underscore trust underscore function underscore creators is equal to 1. This is it. Those of you online, I'm sorry. Come again? Because I'm using this database and I'm setting it to global. So I just open a new file, which is this. Can you see this? Can you see this? Just click on this and paste. Click on this. Can you see this? It will create a new file for you. Then type the command and then you execute it. Are we together? See it here now. Is a file here. Can you see a file with a plus? People have not done this one. You want to you're selfish. Ah, allow people to catch up too now. Yes. So usually the error it tells you is function has no deterministic. Can you see it here? This is the error. So you just type workbench, and then you type non-deterministic. It will show you. Usually, this takes me a very long time to figure out. But when I figured it out, I realized that it's simple. Just Google search and then pick the first item that comes from Stack Overflow, and then you scroll a bit. You see the code. You copy it and paste it, and then you run that, and that is all. Yes.
So, the one you do other functions now.
No. It's one time thing.
Okay, so it's done.
Once you set it, it's all. You are done.
So if you close it down,
Subsequently, you don't say it.
You don't do. If I close it down, it will still work. Yeah, it's just setting. It's just like how do I put it? It's just like you are checking something.
How are you supposed to say it?
Just execute the code. That is all. Okay. Are we together? Okay. Have you? The result is under now. It will just tell you this is how the result will look like. I'll go to the function page. Don't worry. I want people to first of all do this one first. Is there anybody that is lagging here? We're all fine with this one now. We're all fine with this one. Eh? Okay. Now, yes.
We are going through this process because of an error.
Yes.
How do we avoid the error?
By doing this.
So I'm trying to get it.
So after you install my SQL on a new computer, run this code once. Yes. This is the result here that says set global. Oh no. I'm still on this. Let me finish with this, then I'll go to the function. Okay? Are we done with this now, guys? Okay, now I can close this in peace. Okay. Now I run my function. Now I click on what? Apply, and this is the result for the function. Apply changes to addition. Okay? So now, sorry, wait. Okay, yeah, this is it. So now, if you look at my functions, you see addition. Can you see addition? Can you see addition? Yes. Okay. Now, let's assume we want to add two numbers, any numbers, within my SQL. How do we go about it? Let's create a new page. Okay? And then we say what? Select. And then we say addition. And then we open brackets. And then we put 45. And then we say comma 60. And then we close brackets. I'm just saying things. What I mean is any number. Okay?
This first function we just ran, are we not supposed to see the answer?
You have to execute the function now. You just created the function, you didn't execute it. Now we're adding, yes, we're adding parameters to the function. Now, if you run this, it will give us what? So what it does is actually simple. It takes this num1 and num2, and then we initialize a new variable called what? Num3. And then we select the addition of these two into num3. And then we ask it to return num3. So now when I execute this code, any number I give it, it will add the two for me. Are we together? So whenever you want to display something in MySQL, you use select. Yeah. Yes. Now, whenever you want to display something, you use select. Whenever you want to display something, you use what? Select. Now, you think we have done the confusing part, right? You think we've done the confusing part, right? Now, let's do the much more confusing one. Views. Views.
Need to apply. When you say the computer apply, well, sir, yes, can we select, can we write under the same tab? Instead of doing a new SQL file, you just create the addition.
Now, in my SQL, there's something called view. There's something called what? View. And under view, there are something called join. Just know that there is something called what? View. Under view, there is something called join. And there are different types of joins. Okay? Are we together? You have views, and under views, there are things called join. Now, how does this relate to what we are trying to do? Right now, if you look at our attendance table here, student ID is what? How many student ID? How many students do we have? We have one student, 2 entries. Now, if we want to take this data and take the other data and magnet them together, how do we do that? We use what? Join. And how does that look like? So we do something like select star means all, okay? Select star means what? Everything from. You are looking at it from here, right? So now we can say, we can take this out and take this out so that we have peace of mind, a bit of it. So now we have what? Select all from what? Assembly attendance. Now we want to bring which student has this attendance. We want to bring this one data and add it to this one. So we call this. After this, we say S or AT. Let's say AS. Let's call it A. Right? Let's call it A. And then we want to join these two records with student. So we say what? Space join student information called what? S. Are we together up till now? So we are selecting what? And we're joining to what? Now this is where it gets tricky. So now, this A and S, what we're trying to say is, it's like an alias. Okay? We don't want to type assembly attendance every time. So we give it a nickname called A. That way we don't need to worry about those long mistakes. And then we have what? Student information. We don't want to memorize student information. If someone wants to type, we have to type student information. So we give it a nickname called what? S. And then we can say on. Yes. So when you type S, it knows automatically that you are referring to assembly attendance. Sorry, when you type S, it will automatically know you are referring to what? Student information. Automatically it will know. Don't worry now, you will see now. That is why we are doing practical, Abi. Otherwise, I will have written this in theory and then be explaining it to you. The reason why we are doing practical so that you will see with your eyes, kolo kolo. So we say what? On, and then we say what? A dot. Usually, it's supposed to bring you the list of columns automatically under assembly attendance. But since it's not giving us, we'll put student ID. And then can you see that? Student ID is here, right? And then I will say what? S. Okay, like. Okay. Please don't be scared, okay? Okay, so we say what? S dot. Now, which entry are we trying to reference in the other table? Here is student ID. On student ID to be what? Entry ID. Remember? That's the relationship that we're dealing with that confuse people. The same thing. So we say what? Entry ID. Now, if we should execute this code, these columns will increase. Okay? The columns will what? Increase. Now, can you see that? Now, it's selecting the records and then it's attaching the student for us. Do you understand? So now you have two entry IDs. You have two entry IDs. If you notice, you have 5 and 3, but because the student ID is 2, this one is only what? 2. And then what is the code of the student? What is the name of the student? What is the age of the student? All this information is coming from where? Student information. It's coming from student information. So we're joining the two records together. We're marrying them together. Yes. Yes. So we're using student ID because there is a relationship between student ID and entry ID on student table because of that foreign key relationship. That is very good. Now, when you're programming, why would you want to join it? When you're writing codes, it will take you because you don't have the resources you need to execute a very long process. You need to minimize the number of requests you send to the database. So you create something called view. So now the view you create is going to come from this particular type of join. That is why I'm showing you the join first before we go into creating the view. Now, now, Chairman, when I was thinking, where was your brain? When I was saying this is a nickname of this guy here. You are saying, okay, let me break it down in a normal English. You are saying select everything inside assembly attendance and student information, whereby that attendance and the student ID in attendance and entry ID in student are the same. Instead of us to have multiple tables, we break them down. But when you want to generate reports, you need to combine them back together.
So that means if you don't have the primary key and foreign key set from the beginning, you can't get something like this.
That is why I first of all started with primary key and foreign key.
What's the one to get tables that don't have relations?
They have to have relations. Okay, let me give you a simple example. It's like you are trying to do long distance relationship. I wanted to give birth. And they'll never meet, they have never met. You do not work now. Yes. We'll agree to that. In fact, that's where we're heading to next. Okay. Now, in my SQL database, we have the broom. Okay? Come again?
We have two sides there within entry ID.
Yes. We nickname them. Now, this is the hard part because you need to itemize what is what. Right now, we are selecting everything. We don't want to select everything. We want to select items. Okay? So how do we do that? If you have two columns that have the same name, then you have to nickname it. How do we do that? You can say maybe a.entry ID, a.entry entry ID space, and then you say what? Attendance ID, comma, and then s.entry ID. I'll explain. Let me finish first. Okay. Now, before I move on, let me use the broom. Okay? Let me use what? Not APC broom. Oh. Before somebody will think I'm an APC member. I'm going to use what? The broom. How do you use the broom? What do you use broom for? To sweep. If you sweep, what happens? It becomes what? Clean. Now, I am going to use the broom, and this is what? This is what? So when I sweep it, okay, that is what? The broom, not like the APC one. The APC one is not, it's not like this one. This one is automatic. It makes it look better. Okay? Now, let me explain what I'm doing here. If you notice, in the previous code, we said select star, right? Which is what? Select everything. Now it will combine, even if the fields are the same, it will still pack them and bring them together. And then if you just take this one and take this one and join them together. Now, what we want is, we want certain columns. Okay? We want to select certain columns, but the columns we want to select still have two entry IDs. And MySQL will not allow you to do two entry IDs because you confuse the programming language. Okay? So now you have to nickname those fields. So if you notice, I said a.entry ID is what? Attendance ID. S.entry ID is what? Now I added what? Assembly, student name, age, and what? Student code, right? Now, with this, I can do something like, if I run this code now, this output will change. The whole of this output will change to this particular items. Are we together? Are we together? Now, I'm going to execute the code. Okay, my bad. I selected part of it. Now, can you see this? Can you see it has changed? Now, let's assume I want to run this particular code. Like let's assume in my program, I'm going to run this code like 300 times. And I don't want to be writing all this long grammar. I can create something called a view. Okay? What that view will do is, it will still have all these items for me. I don't need to keep writing this particular long statement. So how do you create a view? You say something like, create view as create view as select. Why is it saying? The name of the view itself. What is the name of the view? So we can say this view is what? Attendance underscore student underscore view. Now, it's always important to identify a view by what? Giving the name view. Okay? At the end of it, tell yourself that this is the view. Okay? It's very important. So this as moves from here to here. Okay? And then we execute this code. When we refresh, you see our view increase, right? And if you drop down, you see we have the view. Now, if you click on this, sorry, that we don't have time, really. Don't worry, I'll go back to the view. Okay.
Okay, so that means that we can create the view while doing this one too.
Yes. So some students are saying they wish they were not online students. They wish they were here. But then, if wish was true, if wish was, I believe everybody will be president, and then Nigeria will divide Nigeria into like the back of a meat pie. Yes. Come again. You've run it. Go to view. Can you see view? Refresh this first. First refresh. Then you click on view.
So now we can actually create view, right? Why join the center?
Join, yes. Yes. Yeah, but the problem you encounter is if you have an error in your code, it will take you longer to figure it out. So that is why it's always important to run the code first, to run the select statement and make sure it's fine, then you add the view later. Okay? Are we together? Which one? So this is it here. You mean this?
Exactly. So when this student ID now,
Yes.
we said we have one student. Like student ID 2 but 2 entries.
Come again.
We have 2 entries here, right? But one student, right? With 2 entries. Why did they allow the 2 entries when the student ID is
Because it's two different dates. Dates. Why not? Which field? Duplicate entry in what is the question? All right. Now let's add another student's attendance. Let's add another student's attendance. Where is attendance? Assembly attendance. Okay. And we have what? Let me check the student table. Student information. We have 3 and 4, so we can say 3 and 3. They also attended this particular class. It also attended this particular class, but I'm not the person that added the record. It's number 3 that added the record. I'm adding more record into the attendance table so that we can look at our view and see how it affects the view. So now we have Stella Maris and Chimezie as part of the students that attended our class. Guys, my advice to you is please go back home and watch the YouTube video, because that is the only way you're able to catch up to where I am. Because right now, we have a lot of things that we have not talked about, especially when it comes to select. In fact, I think that is what I will do next. Real quick, because we're out of time. Real quick. Guys, real quick, please. We have student information, right? Now, we want to select students that are less than 10 years old, less than or equal to 10 years old. How do we do that? So, yeah. So we say select all from student table. We don't need this this right here. We don't need it. Select all from student information where age is less than or equal to, let's say, 10. So when we run this code now, it will filter out those that are above 10. Okay? It only gives us what? Those that are less than 10. Now, we want between 9 and 10. How do we go about it?
Where age.
Mm-hmm.
Where age. Between.
Mm-hmm. Where age between 9 and 10. That is it. So it will filter out where age is between 9 and 10. If you have more records, it will show more. What of those above 9? So we say what? Greater than 9. I don't know if it makes sense. Okay. Now, what if I want to select Stella Maris? Mm-hmm. What if I want only those that have A in their names?
A.
Yes, letter A.
In their name. Yes. Okay. Select from student information.
Mm-hmm. Where name,
Here.
student name,
Yes, student name. Your student name.
like
A percentage. Right?
percentage,
Yeah.
A percentage, and then terminates. And then we terminate this and we comment this. So any name that has A will appear in this list. So these are the only names that have A in them. How about Z? How about K? How about W? Nobody. So if you want to filter out, let's assume you have huge transactions. Let's assume in your shop you have sold items to about 3,000 people in the month, and you want to check how many transactions cost above 10,000 naira. So you just run your select statement, and then you say where amount is greater than or equal to what? 10,000 naira. Now, I believe all of us here did inequalities in mathematics in secondary school. Inequalities. Oh? Ah. Less than, greater than equals, less than equals. And now, you know, sometimes you will not understand some things until you start to do advanced stuff, and then you start to see those things coming back to play a role in what you are trying to do. When I started programming, a lot of what helped me the most was that I was good in logics in mathematics. Those and, or, no, so, and all of those things. When we did this in binary in secondary school, binary of numbers, I was really not bad at it. Yeah, not bad at it. I was a bit okay. So it really helped me in navigating the waters around programming. Now, now there is something called stored procedure. But we have eaten the time for this course. In fact, we've ate the time, we've ate free time, we've ate extra time, we have done golden goal. Now I don't know what time we're going to eat again. We're supposed to run up today and I'm taking over next week with this course, Intro to Software Engineering. That is it. That's practically a theory course, and we'll chew it like chin chin. Okay? Who is that now? Okay, so any questions? Yes.
So now my future is I can put on my skills that I have my experience.
You have beginner MySQL skill. It's still beginner. Because all we've done is I've introduced you to the items, but have you applied it in real life? Don't worry, after the class, I will look at what you've done and then I will advise you. Guys, there are a lot of things you can do with MySQL database. A lot. And a lot of organizations use it to manage their data. So having it in your under your belt is a plus for you. For me, well, I'm still at beginner intermediary level of MySQL. And I've used it for over 7 years. In real life, I've used MySQL in real life. I've used it in personal projects. But it still has more things you can learn on it. Okay? Now, it's left for you to go and learn them. All I can do is to introduce you to them. And then you have to go in depth, tear off the carton and look into the books. Okay? Thank you very much for coming. By God's grace, from next week, we will start a course called Introduction to Software Engineering. Introduction to Software, inshallah. In that class, we're going to introduce what is a software, what are the fields under software engineering. Because most of you hear software engineering, I think it's just one field, right? What are the fields under software engineering? Because software engineering is like biology. You'll be doing biology, and then next thing you hear what? Microbiology, macrobiology. You start to talk about cell. You start to talk about DNA. You start to talk about. That is how software engineering is. It's very, very broad. And in each field, as we were practicing software engineering the way it's supposed to be practiced, in each field, you will eat food. In fact, you wear agbada on top of them. Because there are many what? Fields you can work on. Okay? Okay? All right, so if you have any question, please ask. Those of you online, feel free to ask your questions. Last chance people. Last chance people. I've uploaded your information to the portal. You can go online and log in using the credentials sent to your emails. Those of you that have not filled the first form and have not filled the last chance, you're on your own. I've done my own part and I've done my best to see that I address practically all the emails sent to me. And I still find it funny when I have less than 30 students in class, less than 50 students online, and I have about 300 students in the class. So me, I've done my part. It's left for you to go and meet anybody, anyone you have to go and meet, for you to go and figure that out. Now, one house. For this course, for the group assignments given, I cannot be able to assess it. I have too many students, and I have too much work to do on my head. So what I will do is, I will make this course to be like the previous one, where we'll have the exams online, and we'll have exams over 100, no CA. Now, expect questions that comes with select statements. Yes. Expect questions from triggers. Expect questions from functions. Anything I talk about, expect at least 5 questions from it. Anything I talk about, primary key, foreign key, expect the questions from them. Normalization, all those theory we talked about, expect at least 5 questions from each topic. It might be A, B, C, D, E, it might be true or false, it might be yes or no, it might be all of the above or none of the above, but expect at least 5 questions from everything we've talked about. Any question? Yes.
What is the difference between SQL and SQL?
What's the difference between
SQL,
MySQL, and NoSQL? So, SQL and MySQL are the same thing. Okay? Now, in the programmer's terminology, when you say SQL, you're making reference to MS SQL. That is mostly what programmers refer to as SQL. Microsoft version of SQL is called MS SQL. Okay? MySQL is open source. MS SQL, there is open source version, and there is what? Enterprise version. There is one you can use for development, and one you can use for what? Production. Okay? Now, those two, the only difference between them is they are from 2 different organizations. Okay? So, just because Toyota make cars and Honda make cars and all of them have 4 tires doesn't mean everything about them is the same. From the shape of the car, you start to see the differences. Cool? I don't know if it makes sense. So MS SQL has its own role. MySQL has its own role to play. Most of the web applications we use today, most of the WordPress sites you see online today uses MySQL. Okay? Enterprise applications you see, most of them uses MS SQL or Oracle database or Is it PostgreSQL? So they are all type of SQL databases. Now, no SQL database is a whole different story altogether. That one doesn't have select all from. Babu. It's not designed to run query. It's designed to, you design it for real life applications. So you have things like MongoDB, you have things like Firebase, you have things like, there are many of them. Let me just name two and leave it there. Okay, the ones I can remember quickly are those two. Those are the ones I use. Okay, any other question, guys? Okay, in terms of questions, thank you very much, madam, for the laptop. Yes.
So, and this is where you can use NoSQL and SQL together.
Why?
Because most of the mobile application uses Firebase. So I don't know if it's applicable for them to also use MySQL.
Well, so for Android, you can use Firebase, but then if you want to use MySQL, okay, let me give you an example. Imagine this university here, guys. Please, one house. Imagine this university here have an application that is built with MySQL, and you want to build a mobile app for same base university. Now, and you tell base, I want to use Firebase. Usually they will allow you to do that. They will not. Why? Because you already have the data. You already have the data inside what? MySQL. So what can you do in that situation? You use something called API. So you design or you code APIs or API endpoints that will give you access to the data. Okay? And that is when you start to get things like back end, front end. We'll talk about it in intro software engineering. Okay? All right. So, yes. Does that answer the question? All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Hold on the assignment. We'll do exams just like we did exams for this one. Over 100. Now, as far as this class is concerned, drop database. What's the name of this class again? Introduction to my to relation data to that. Me, you are done. I don't see my face. All right, thank you very much. No, it's not attendance. Let's go into our page. Okay. Side one.